Thank you. Welcome, everyone, to the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. I'm Rev. Allie Hutchinson. I am a staff minister at Oakland Center. My pronouns are she and they, and I'll be your host tonight for our Wednesday night Oasis service. Oasis is a place where we come together as a community to be spiritually refreshed midweek. Most Wednesday night services build on the theme of the previous Sunday, sharing Science of Mind principles and practices with the intention that these gatherings be informal and interactive and intimate. Our annual theme for 2025 in Centers for Spiritual Living is Rising Higher, Growing Deeper. And we are continuing tonight with our monthly theme for May, which is Raise Your Voice. Last Sunday, Reverend Dr. Sunshine Michelle Coleman, our senior minister, introduced ideas inspired by this week's theme, which is negotiating peace, conflict, reconciliation, and transformation. And tonight, our speaker will continue the exploration of this same topic. If you're new to our community or to watching our recording, please visit our website at oaklandcsl.org, click on the I'm New icon, and look in the lower left-hand corner to submit your email address. And then once you do that, you'll start receiving our weekly newsletter, The Village News. And it has all the information about what's going on in our center in the coming weeks. Before we get started, please mute your microphone if it's not already. When you mute, it just helps us improve the quality of our recording and tonight's transmission. And you can leave your camera on if you like. And then please stay tuned through the end of the service to hear several important announcements. Our speaker tonight is Jackie Corwin. Jackie was born in the Philippines, moved to the United States at age 14, and has been an Oakland resident since 1988. She accidentally discovered OCSL in 2008 after missing Mass at St. Teresa's next door. Moved by the Science of Mind teachings, she immediately enrolled in a foundations class with Reverend Joan and attended many classes and workshops here at OCSL. A UC Berkeley grad with a successful career in finance, Jackie found her work was rewarding, but also filled with stress and frequent migraines. But everything changed when she began to incorporate meditation into her workday. The profound impact of her meditation practice inspired her to create Pause Now, a service that allowed people to access meditation as easily as they could access a meal, in a converted bus offering private meditation pods equipped with calming soundtracks and noise-canceling headphones. Launched in 2018, Pause Now brought mindfulness to companies, hospitals, schools, conventions, farmers markets, and festivals. Jackie has also taught meditation and relaxation, deepening her mission to bring stillness and make it accessible to everyone. Having decided to sell Pause Now and having retired from a 4-decade career in banking, Jackie is now focused on writing. She's currently developing a series of mindfulness books for children and daily reflection journals for mothers and teachers. She loves international dishes, traveling the world, discovering off the beaten path eateries and hiking trails, going to Burning Man, yoga, and meditation retreats, and hosting outdoor concerts with Dougie Free and local artists. She draws inspiration from many spiritual teachers, her parents, and her greatest teacher of all, her son Cameron. So thank you, Jackie, in advance for being our speaker tonight. But we always start our services with prayer. So I invite you all to join me now as we do our opening prayer. As always, I always like to give people a minute to simply settle in. Take a couple of deep breaths. Um, Perhaps let each breath be a little bit slower, a little bit deeper than the last. We allow that breath to draw us into that quieter place where we can be open to contacting spirit. In that place, we know that there is only one presence, one power, one beingness, one divine mind that conceived of everything and designed everything and created everything and poured itself into and became the creation, simply to delight in it, to hold it and love it and take inspiration from it and learn from it and express itself through it. It's that eternal, infinite wellspring of all love and joy and peace of all grace and ease, of all wisdom and creativity. It is indeed peace itself, infinite and unchangeable. And I know that I am that my divine nature is simply one aspect of that one mind, that one consciousness. And as I know that for myself, I know it for each person here. Each one of us simply one unique manifestation of spirit, one way that spirit can experience itself, one way that we can show spirit a good time on the planet, engaged in that sacred co-creative dance. And as I speak my word for this service, for each person here, for each person who joins later online or in the recording, I know that this service is blessed. I know that every word that's spoken, every silence, everything contributes to exactly what each person needs at this particular moment in their life and in their soul's evolution. Everything reflects that divine perfection of spirit. Everything works to the highest and good, highest and best of the evolution of each person, of our center, and of our community and the world. And knowing that that's true, we experience such gratitude. In that place of gratitude, I speak my word into the law, that aspect of God that responds by saying yes, by taking our intentions and bringing them into manifestation, by bringing our good a little bit closer to us. So, again, in gratitude, I simply anchor this prayer by saying, and so it is. So now I am going to turn this over as I'm losing my voice to Jackie. And welcome. Thank you for being our speaker tonight.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you, everyone. Some of my family and friends are here. I'm so happy. I know it's a short notice, but thank you for carving out time to do this. And even Amber, who is in Germany at 4 a.m. right now, thank you. And Reverend Sunshine said that she won't be here tonight, but that I want to thank her. I know she'll be listening to this later. Thanks for inviting me here. About 6 weeks ago, um, after getting a hug from her after service, she asked me if I could speak at one of these Wednesday Oasis, and I honestly thought, I looked behind me and I didn't know if she was actually talking to me. And I was thinking, oh wait, me? And and she said, yeah, you. So anyway, this is my first time speaking at OCSL. And for those of you who don't know what OCSL is, it's the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. And to be honest, I'm a little nervous right now, and I'm definitely a little intimidated because many of the listeners later on or right now are longtime practitioners and seasoned spiritual leaders. So I may be preaching to the choir, so to speak. But hey, we often.
I'm right here with you, Jackie. I'm chiming
You
in. It's
are
Reverend
right,
Sunshine, and I just want
Reverend
you to know, just let the blood butterflies flow. We're all
Sunshine.
here. We love you. We're in community, and I know you have something awesome to say. So
Oh,
just let it come out.
thank you so much. Yay, thanks for being here.
Yes.
Well, we're always called to bring our beginner's mind front and forward. So it's going to be a good reminder for a lot of these practices for many of you. And I drank a lot of tea this afternoon, so I'm ready to go. Um, and plus, that meditation was so helpful and beautiful prayer. So thank you, Reverend Ellie. So some of you at the center may not know me personally, but most likely we've hugged or at least said hello or ran into each other at the bookstore, of which I am a frequent customer. I call myself Ted Williams' sidekick. You know, we often you'll often see us sitting together, kind of in the back because I'm always late. Well, at least everyone know who Ted is, and now you know who I am. As Reverend Ali mentioned in her introduction, I started coming to the, OCSL a little more than 17 years ago in 2008. And again, you know, it was completely by accident. But as we all know, there's no such thing as accidents. So I missed the service, the mass next door at St. Teresa's, and saw this big sign that says First Church of Religious Science. And it just intrigued me. And luckily I looked at the time and the service had just started. So I followed my instincts and I followed my curiosity and walked into the center. I really don't remember what at the time was Reverend Joan. Um, I didn't know what she talked about that day, but I do remember being really moved by the message. And I love the prayers. At the time, I didn't know they were called affirmative prayers, and also the amazing music. Every week when I go, I feel like I'm going to a concert. Um, and something touched deep inside me. So I was raised Catholic and Episcopalian, my mom being Catholic, my dad being Episcopalian. And it's funny that we would go to one or the other church, depending on what time the family got ready that day, because the service for the Catholic Church was earlier than the Episcopal Church. So anyway, I kept coming back to the center, and I quickly signed up for this class called Foundations. And that class was life changing for me. Um, anyway, it's I believe it was a 10 week, was it 12 week, maybe 10 week course. And at the end, you come up with a final project. And for my final project, I staged a symbolic wedding between my small self, my ego self, and my higher self. And many of my friends know this that I married myself back in, I even remember the date, April 3rd, 2008. I wore a white dress and I brought this doll. This is This is the one I married. And I had stuffed animals as my maid of honor and best man. And I wrote my vows. This is my vows. It's long, so I'm not going to read it to you. But it was basically a vow to myself. Um, and as I mentioned, this class really changed the trajectory of my spiritual practice. It sparked a deeper hunger for my spiritual growth, for healing, for serving others. So I attended more classes, more workshop. I went to many retreats, not only at OCSL, but the Zen centers and including Vipassana silent retreats, and some of them were even outside the country. And then professionally, as was mentioned, I worked in banking for over 40 years. And during that time, I suffered from debilitating migraines. No doctor, no therapy, no treatment seemed to cure it. I tried everything. Um, I think I saw at least 5 neurologists. I went to acupuncturists. Um, Chiropractors. I even had Botox therapy. I had 35 injections on my skull, and that didn't work. Um, and I tried yoga, um, different exercises, physical therapy, and nothing worked. And until I tried meditation. Someone had told me, you should try meditation. Because of my stressful job, it was causing me to tighten up. And meditation, just practice of meditation, really calmed my mind, calmed my body, and really helped my, they didn't go away completely, but they were lessened. So that was good. So Reverend Sunshine had kind of asked me to share how my mobile meditation studio came to life. Some of you have seen the bus at parked at OCSL. I think it was now maybe a couple of years ago for a craft fair. Um, so since my first Vipassana retreat back in I think 2012, I kept hearing this consistent whisper during my meditations, asking me, "What's your purpose? What's your true calling? How can you be of service to others?" So at first, I had the dream of opening a meditation studio in the financial district, something that a place for stressed out professionals like me to take a meditation break during their hectic day. But when I realized that the rents were so expensive, I scouted it out. They were over $10,000 to $12,000 a month. That dream faded quickly. But Spirit had a better idea. Um, One day in the summer of 2016, while I was on a lunch break, and I usually go to this window, this nook on the eighth floor of my building. It's the corner of Montgomery and California Street. And I was watching as people were lining up to get food at food trucks. And then all of a sudden it hit me. I said, what about having um, a food truck for the soul, a meditation truck? So shortly after the light bulb went on, I took an unpaid leave to follow this calling. And it took a couple of years to design and build, and lots of costly trial and errors, including working with three different custom RV builders and burning through my home equity line of credit. But anyway, finally, after several test flights, Now Mobile Meditation Center launched in February of 2018. And by God's grace and a lot of persistence, it started gaining traction. The bus was actually featured in um, the San Francisco Chronicle, the monthly East Bay Times, MSNBC, and several wellness magazines. And so I got a little exposure, and they were all free. Actually, my first major client came from a referral from an OCSL member, or maybe she was even a practitioner. I don't know if remember the name Nancy McFarland. She worked at Alameda Health System as a behavioral therapist, and she heard about my bus and said, "Oh, we must bring this to Highland Hospital." And that's how I started working with all 12 locations at Alameda Health System. And that opened doors to companies like Kaiser, Oracle, KQED, Mind Body, um, Johnson and Johnson, Palo Alto Networks, and many others. And I got also some referrals from friends of mine. Kaiser and KQED were referrals from friends. Um, and I also brought the Pause Now bus to local festivals and schools, as mentioned earlier. And I offered free meditation sessions as a community service. Well, we all know what happened in 2020. So all of a sudden, all my bus events got canceled. So I had to pivot. and I went back to banking. I went back to being a banker, but kind of part time. But eventually, I began leading mindfulness workshops and guided meditations online on Zoom. And then, fast forward to 2021, like maybe middle or late 2021, I was able to resume my bus events. And at the end of 2024, I decided to fully retire. And so I'm passing the baton to a woman who has a wellness center in Florida. And I'm so happy that she'll continue the work I started. So, how does this all tie into our theme of the day, which is negotiating peace, conflict, reconciliation, and transformation? So, I broke it down this way. So, I believe that by following my my calling, I rose higher in purpose and grew deeper in practice. And in launching Pause Now, I began to raise my voice, not necessarily by preaching, but by offering access to silence. And through meditation, I witnessed firsthand how inner stillness can transform our inner self and our relationships, and our not only with our family and friends, but with the world around us. So the book that I decided to base my talk on is A Steady Companion. It is one of my favorite books, called Pieces Every Step by Thich Nhat Hanh. And it's a small book, but it has so much beautiful, simple yet profound mindfulness practices in this book. And so for those of you who don't know who Thich Nhat Hanh is, they also call him Thai, which means master or teacher. He was a Vietnamese Zen master, a poet. He's written, I don't know, maybe over 40 books, and he was a peace alongside Martin Luther King, and many others. And he passed away 3 years ago. And I never got to see him in person, but I read plenty of his books, and he's really one of my favorite teachers. I actually found this book at the bookstore at OCSL, and I was happy to see that there was a quote from Pieces Every Step in the topic guide that Reverend Sunshine sent me. So the book is divided in three parts, and I'd like to just briefly walk us through each one because they relate to tonight's topic of peace, reconciliation, and transformation. So the first part is it's called Breathe, You Are Alive. And the second part is on transformation and healing. And the third part, it goes deeper into how we can use these practices in the world around us, in our daily life. So Thich Nhat Hanh, I'll just use Thai, it's easier to, to say, begins the book with a simple reminder. And that simple reminder is simply breathe. And this first section centers around the foundational practice of mindfulness in everyday life. So, one of his well known mantras is breathing in, I calm my body, and breathing out, I smile. It's so simple, and yet it is so transformative. It brings us into the present moment, the, the only place where peace and transformation can really occur. Thai invites us to recognize that peace is not something far away or far fetched or out there somewhere. or available only in certain conditions or settings. It's available within. It's accessible within, right here and right now, in this breath. So, in my own journey, when I began practicing breath awareness during my stressful corporate days, I noticed how the simple act of pausing to inhale, to exhale, could shift my state of mind and soften my tense body, which is what helped my migraines, right? And there are many ways, of course, to calm your body. But this is my go-to technique, and this is also how I teach meditation to medical professionals and teachers and so you can say, breathe in and breathe out. I am here and this is now, or simply say, in, out, here and now. And eventually you can drop the words and just simply focus on your breath. So, amid ringing phones and tight deadlines and headache inducing meetings, I found pockets of peace. And those moments were not just escapes. They became my anchors, right? Momentary pauses during my hectic day became a game changer. And this is actually what inspired me to call my bus Pause Now. And Ty also calls this conscious breathing. It is a practice of returning home, returning to your own breath, returning to yourself. And another practice in this section there's so many practices. There's literally, I don't know, 65 or something. But I want to call attention to this practice called the bells of mindfulness because it's so practical. It's just using ordinary sounds. I don't know if you can hear the birds chirping right now, or whatever, a phone ringing, a car, honking, or even a baby crying on the plane, which just happened a couple of days ago. You can use these sounds as bells of mindfulness. And so when you hear a sound, instead of reacting automatically, just pause. And pause and breathe, even smile, and return to the present moment. That's one really good way to bring yourself back is to just find your breath. And at work, I began to apply the sound of notifications, Outlook email notifications, text dings, and calendar reminders. And my phone was ringing off the hook. I just learned to use them as bells of mindfulness. So instead of grumbling or getting annoyed or rushing, I train myself to stop, to take a breath, and to just reset before picking up the phone or before answering a question. It took a lot of practice, and believe me, but that moment of awareness helped me respond more thoughtfully and less reactively. And another key insight from this section is the importance of smiling. Yes, smiling. Uh, Thich Nhat Hanh calls it mouth yoga. It's not a forced or fake smile. It's more like an inner affirmation, like I am alive. This moment is precious. So the suggested practice here is it's called half smile in the mirror. So first thing in the morning, when you see yourself while you're washing your face or brushing your teeth, you're in front of the mirror, take a moment and just smile softly. For me, I added a practice, and it's kind of dorky, but I just like lift up my hands and I just say out loud, it's going to be a great day. It's going to be a lovely day or whatever, Well, I have many iterations of it, or thank you for this brand new day. But it really works because it's setting the tone for the start of your day. And also gratitude, when you say thank you that I woke up today. which is that's a beautiful setting for starting your day. And then the other practice in this section that I teaches is the practice of walking slowly, or it's called a walking meditation. So it's bringing each step as if you're kissing the earth, right, with your feet. And this is not just poetic; it's practical. You know, it makes you become aware of your breath when you're walking slowly and mindfully. And you can practice this while you're going your car or going to your next meeting or what have you. And as you step in, he suggests that you silently say, breathing in, I take a step, and breathing out, I run. And it's in this arriving in each moment fully that allows peace and calm in your mind and body. So I attended this retreat, silent retreat in Thailand, where we practice walking meditation for 2 hours a day. And in this practice, each step was incredibly slow. I mean, literally taking 60 seconds. Imagine 60 seconds to complete a step. So we were guided to become fully aware of every part of the movement, the heel lifting, the arch rolling, the toes leaving the ground, and then the subtle engagement of your muscle, your calves, your knees, your thighs. And at first, it felt I was frustrated by this practice, and it even felt a little ridiculous. Over time, like after 5 times of doing it, I realized how powerful it was. It trained me to be deeply present, to fully connect to each moment, to each movement, to each breath. And it was a profound lesson in mindfulness. So if you can, try to see if you can walk more slowly and be aware of your step again, as if you're kissing the earth. So many of us are always on our way somewhere else, some future peace, some resolved conflict, some healed version of ourselves. Um, but Thich Nhat Hanh reminds us that transformation starts now. It starts with each breath. It starts with a smile. It starts with a step. Um, and then moving on to the second part of the book is on transformation and healing. And it addresses our suffering. You know, the first step is the awareness that in life there's pain, there's challenges, there's hurdles, there are problems. Basically, acknowledging that this is a part of being human, right? And then the second step is learning how to be with it. On one of my favorite teachers, another favorite teacher of mine is Pema Chodron, who wrote the book When Things Fall Apart, and many other books, of course. She puts it this way: lean into it, lean into the sharp points. This is where Thai's teachings deepens and offering us tools for reconciliation, reconciling with our inner and outer conflicts. Um, there's a quote. He says, the seed of suffering in you may be strong, but don't wait until you have no more suffering before you allow yourself to be happy. And so here he's introducing us to embrace our emotions with mindfulness instead of resisting. Uh-oh, my battery saver is on. Okay, I need to plug in my device. but hopefully I won't need it. I need to get going because I am going over my time. But anyway, so he introduces the practice of embracing our emotions with mindfulness, not resisting or pushing them away, but holding them tenderly, like a mother holding a crying baby. So here's a true story. When my son was 4 weeks old, I think he's on this call. I was alone at home and he was crying unconsolably. He was screaming out of the top of his lungs. And I picked him up, I rocked him, I fed him, I played music, but no matter what I did, he wouldn't stop. I just felt so helpless and I almost lost it. So I decided to put him back in his crib and I just sat next to his crib, listening to him cry, feeling frustrated and exhausted. And all I could do was cry with him. And we've all been in this similar situation. So think of your anger or any strong emotion as a crying baby. Sometimes you can pick it up, you can cradle it, you can comfort it, but sometimes you just have to let it be. You know, says that anger is like a howling baby. We don't throw the baby out. We pick it up, we calm it down, or we let it be. And furthermore, he says, treat your emotions, treat your anger with the utmost respect and tenderness because it is no other than yourself. So when strong emotion arises, the suggestion is to acknowledge it, say hello to it, just even welcome it and say, hey, here you are again. And then next, you just breathe. Breathe into the emotion and feel its presence fully. And then after a few breaths, see if you can hold it gently. Or maybe at this point, you just have to let it go. Um, and if you can hold it gently, you may even ask, why are you here? Why are you back? What are you trying to protect? What are you teaching me at this moment? I practiced this many times during conflicts in my life, especially when I felt betrayed or unseen or unheard. Instead of suppressing it or reacting, I'd sit back and breathe with emotion, feeling all the sensations that come with it. I usually feel it in my shoulders, hence the headaches, and sometimes in my belly. But acknowledging its presence, what happens is the intensity softens. And it's okay if underneath the emotion there's a lingering sense of sadness or fear or a deep longing to be understood. And there are actually several acronyms that can help you with this that I've learned and learned about in past years. So one is called STOP. It stands for stop, take a breath, observe, and proceed mindfully. And then Tara Brock has the acronym called RAIN. It's recognizing, allowing, investigating, and non-identification or non-judgment. So anyway, these are just tools that can help you be with your emotions. Also in this section, he speaks about this word interbeing. It took me a while to understand what interbeing is, but it's basically the deep interconnectedness of all things. We are not separate from another. The suffering, your suffering is also my suffering. Your healing is also my healing. So he calls this practice looking deeply. So when in conflict with someone, um, practice seeing the conditions that led to that behavior. Maybe see the child in them, the pain they carry. Um, this doesn't, excuse harmful actions, but it creates a ground for more understanding and more compassion. Um, I've learned from the talks at the center and books, The Science of Mind, teachings by Ernest Holmes, that he reminds us that we live in a unified field of spirit that begins with our own consciousness. So, in other words, um, to shift our outer conflict, we must begin with our inner reconciliation. So he says, we can never make the world right until we are right within. So when we transform our suffering, instead of denying it, but by not by denying it, by embracing it, by understanding it, we begin to free ourselves. And it's in that freedom that we create space for others to transform too. And this is the heart of reconciliation, which is not needing other person to change first, but beginning with your own practice of presence, your own practice of deep listening, of compassion. Um, I like the term compassionate listening. And this practice also I had to learn, and it's still a work in progress. But and finally, in the final section, part three, he expands the practice. He suggests to expand this practice out in the world. He speaks of engaged mindfulness, not just meditation and a cushion with incense and everything, but how we walk through our daily lives, how we consume, how we speak, how we serve. So we basically, he says, we must be peace to make peace. And he uh, he has three practices that he suggests here, which is mindful consumption. So every bite that we eat, every dollar that we spend, every word that we speak carries energy. So we ask ourselves, will this bring more peace? Will what I'm doing reduce suffering? And the second practice is on deep listening and loving speech. Um, One of my favorite quotes or teachings from Rumi is um, uh, before you speak, let your words pass through three gates. The first gate being, is it true? The second is it kind? And the third is it necessary? So the third practice is touching the earth. So it's basically a deep bow of humility and connection. This reminds us that we are not alone and that we are supported and we are part of the whole. So just feel the connection to your ancestors, to those who came before you, to the earth that nourishes you. And Thai has this mantra that says, I touch the earth to remember that I am not alone. So we can find peace when we know that deep down we are connected to something greater, something bigger than ourselves, a higher consciousness. I know I'm really pressed on time, so just to conclude and to bring the topic back, so of negotiating peace, reconciliation, and transformation. To negotiate peace doesn't mean to placate or avoid conflict. It means to meet it, to be present with it, with your breath and with compassion. It means being willing to see clearly and feel deeply. It also means being rooted enough in your own practice that you can hold space for transformation to unfold. And in reconciliation, it begins when we reconcile with the tug of that we have within ourselves, between our ego and our higher self. Between fear and love, we begin to radiate a peace that others can feel. And with this, you can transform. Things can transform. You can transform, and you can see others transform, not through force or but through presence, and not through trying harder, but through breathing deeper, through listening longer, or more compassionately through softening our heart. So peace is every step is a call to return, a return to our breath, a return to our heart, or return to our shared humanity. Um, Peace is not out there somewhere. It is here. It is in you. It is in your breath. It is in this moment. And from this peace, right here and right now, we can raise our voice, not in reaction, but in conscious intention. So let's bring peace in every step, in every word, every choice. Um, Choose kindness, choose gratitude, choose abundance, choose generosity, choose love, choose peace with yourself first, with earth, with others. And with that, I'm out of breath. I need a cup of water. But thank you for listening. And sorry I went over. We can, if we have time, let's open it up for discussion. Um,
We have a few minutes.
okay, so I think we'd like to-
We're gonna invite you, if you wanna turn your camera on, do that, and if anyone wants to make a comment, you can, if you know how to use your device to raise your hand, do that, and if not, just, wave, and we'll try to catch you. And I see
yeah.
Sunshine has.
So yeah, so let me offer a prompt because I'm also curious, like how do you bring peace to a challenging or unwanted situation, whether you're at work or at home? And are these practices or approaches? What practices and approaches have helped you? So I want to learn from you too.
I just wanted to chime in, Jackie. You did, just exactly what I thought you would do. You have such a beautiful spirit, and you have a lot to offer. And it's certainly a beautiful talk with lots of tools and so needed for today. And you did help share your wealth of what brought you to that. I was fascinated with your pause now. And you fully retired her, but that's okay. But still, you did that in the world and you passed it on. So thank you for saying yes and for being here. I really appreciated it.
Thank you.
Anybody else? I'll say very quickly, you said something about it being kind of basic, but it really brings to mind, it wasn't basic at all. It really brings to mind how many different ways there are to meditate that makes it, and that alone makes it accessible to everyone. You can sit for an hour, you can do it in 3 seconds just by taking a breath. You can do it sitting or walking, or it was just really nice to be reminded of all the different ways we can do that. And I see Reverend Ikea has got her hand up.
Hi, Reverend Ikea.
Hi, Jackie. It was so nice to hear you. Um, you reminded me of so many times when I have used those tools that you talked about today. Um, Once upon a time, I had a boss at Kaiser who really was my terror. And somewhere it was so stressful that I actually took a class in mindfulness. um, Somebody, I guess, I don't know, I heard about it and I did it. And Kaiser was offering it besides. So,
Oh,
yeah. And and I used to use it and it helped me so much, especially just the breathing. Just I would go into the other room to do one of my tasks and I would just breathe and calm down and center. That was a lifesaver, and the walking meditation, oh my goodness, what a joy that is.
yeah.
Especially now with all the flowers out and everything, you can just it's very easy to not only become grounded, but just realize what beauty we live in. Thank you so much. I appreciated every bit of it.
Thank you.
I see Judith turned her camera on. I don't know if that means you'd like to speak, but wave if you'd like to. Anybody else? You're
No, I'm just saying hi.
uh,
Hello.
you reminded me back when I was in the corporate world, we had a massage therapist who would come to our offices with a chair massage set up. You could book a thing with her. And I had a partner in that same firm who was very much into the Zen Buddhist community in San Francisco. So obviously both that and Science of Mind emphasize and encourage meditation and that sort of thing. And where my massage person stopped. His name was Bill. She stopped in the middle of my massage one time and said, "You know, I come here. Can't tell you how many other attorneys I work on, and you and Bill are the only ones who get it." It emphasizes the mind-body connection, right? That it yes, if you're used to going inside and calming, the impact on your whole self is there.
Yeah, my manager at Wells Fargo actually um, learned about what I do on the side, and she had asked me to not. She didn't want to call it meditation. She just wanted me to do a breath awareness, a breathing exercise before our meetings, which were usually very um, um packed full of negativity. Yeah, she really misses that part of her meetings. And I told her it's very easy. I can send her something that she can use to just read, a breathing technique exercise. Um, she has yet to do it, but hopefully someday.
Hmm. Anybody else? A comment, a question? I see, Doug, you're talking, but you are muted.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I mean, I spend a lot of time with Jackie, and I think I've never heard Jackie put all this together, but one of the things that strikes me is just how many of the tools that she shared are so simple to practice in everyday life. And I just think it makes it very accessible to everybody to be able to find peace in simple ways throughout the day. So thanks, Jackie, for putting it together. And
Thank you, Dougie Free.
yeah.
Jackie, there's a lot of us that are putting comments in chat that I hope you get to read.
I think I can read them. I was reading them.
Yeah, but thank you so much. I'm so glad I stayed up for this.
Yay. Thank you, Cindy. Yeah, thank you for attending. I invited a bunch of my friends last minute.
Nice. Well, I think unless someone has a burning comment, question, we'll probably transition now. All right. Let's give Jackie some love. That was really wonderful and a great reminder of all the things that are so easily available to us. We've some announcements. I'm going to say really quickly, um, Jackie asked if someone here would do a closing prayer. I did the opening prayer. I suspect my voice is going to be giving out. So if there's a minister or a practitioner here who's willing to do the closing, I'll give you a chance at the end to volunteer.
I can do it.
I'm sorry, was that
That's Reverend Ikea.
Reverend Ike? Great, thank you. All right. So thank you again, Jackie. That was great. And we have a few announcements. This Sunday, as you can see on the screen, Reverend Elijah Christopher will be speaking on overcoming silence, individual and collective liberation. The meditation starts at 10, followed by the service at 10:30. If you have not heard him speak, you do not want to miss this, either in person or on our YouTube channel later. On Wednesday, next Wednesday, Peggy Cotton, religious science practitioner, will do the same topic, overcoming silence, individual and collective liberation. The meditation is at 6:30 and the service is at 7 on Zoom. The Diversity Circle meets this Friday, May 23rd at 7 on Zoom. The topic is the Japanese incarceration camps. You can go to oaklandcsl.org, the groups page for details and to get the Zoom link. Our new member Sunday is on June 8th. So the current requirements to become a new OCSL member are taking a quick start class, submitting a member intention form, and then attending a short new member orientation. We did a quick start class last Saturday, and I think we'll probably do one again in about 6 months. So the new member orientation for those who did the quick start class will be this Sunday, June 1st. No, that's not this Sunday, but it'll be June 1st after the service. And then there'll be a ceremony on the 8th. So we're excited to have anyone who wants to be a member of our community. Please join the fabulous Lisa Ferraro and Tammy Hall on Friday evening, June 27th, 7 to 9 p.m. for a concert called Love, Light, and All That Jazz. Ticket sales start tomorrow at oaklandcsl.org/events. Be sure to get yours and bring a friend or many friends. And this is in connection with Oakland Center's 80th anniversary that we're celebrating this year. May 26th is Memorial Day, a federal holiday honoring and mourning the U.S. military personnel who died while serving in the United States Armed Forces. Our administrative offices will be closed in observance. May is Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, and it recognizes the contributions and influence of these cultures on the history, culture, and achievements of the United States. Our nonprofit partner for May in June is Be a Mentor. This is a nonprofit that seeks to help children and youth in challenging and vulnerable situations to build vibrant, successful lives for themselves with the support of a caring and positive adult role model. You can visit their website at beamentor.org for more information. There's our 80th anniversary slide. I got ahead of ourselves. And then the Spirit Treasure Bookstore in May celebrates Asian American and Pacific Islander Month and Mother's Day. So be sure to check out the 30% off table. I'm convinced there will be a number of goddesses on the table. Our slides showing our contact team, people you can contact for various needs. And now we're transitioning to our conscious giving time. So conscious giving is a celebration. It's an expression of gratitude. It's a spiritual practice because in giving, we celebrate our community and express gratitude for everyone who give of their time, talent, and treasure to sustain it. We acknowledge our place in the flow of universal power and abundance, and we put our own intentions for greater experiences of abundance in every form into action. In that spirit, I invite you to follow along as I read the giving information. And if you're muted, please feel free to read aloud if you like. Divine love as me blesses, multiplies this offering, and blesses all that
I am
all that I give,
and
and all
all
that
is
I circulate. Thank you.
thank you, love. That's me. And so it is.
So it is. So we have a number of ways that you can participate in the community if you'd like to donate. And you can go to our website. There's a red icon that says donate. And if you click that, it'll bring us to our webpage that has all the different ways that you can give: cash, check, Zelle, text, QR code, etc., whatever you prefer. And now we would like to show our appreciation for everyone who gave of their time and talent and presence to tonight's service. Our speaker, Jackie Corwin, who gave us a wonderful refresher or introduction to all the different ways people can meditate. Reverend Ikea, thank you in advance for doing the closing prayer. We always like to thank the ministers who are here supporting our service. So Reverend Ikea and Reverend Sunshine Michelle Coleman. We want to thank tonight's tech host, Freddie Lambright, and our administrative coordinator who's working in the background and prepared our slides for us. And finally, I want to thank all of you who gave your presence tonight and your energy and your general vibe to this service. And I will now turn this over to Reverend Ikea for our closing prayer.
And I invite everyone to take a deep breath and appreciate that you are here. And as you let that breath go, it is now, it is present. And with each breath, it is spirit breathing you, and spirit expresses as you. I give thanks for this wonderful class. So many tools to use to remember who you are. As you go forward from this session, we have no excuses anymore. If even our simple breathing can bring us back to who we are, I give thanks for it. I know we are all enriched and strengthened by it. And I release my word. Please join me in anchoring this prayer by saying, and so it is.
And so it
Yes.
is.
Amen.
Amen.
All right. So thank you all for being here. You can turn on your cameras and wave or say goodbye or whatever you'd like to do.